This is Centered, where faith meets everyday life. Our hope is to invite you into a better story, a story where you're made new through Jesus, living with God-given purpose, and experiencing peace, joy, and freedom. Together, we'll explore what it means to keep Jesus at the center of where we live, work, and play, bringing beauty, meaning, and renewal to every part of our lives. Thank you for joining us. Here are your hosts, David and Ben.
Welcome to the Centered Podcast. I'm your host, one of them, Ben Todd. Joined by
David Comstock.
That's right.
I'm here.
We are here, and it is a Tuesday. We normally do this on a Monday.
Feeling a little discombobulated. We don't do it on a Tuesday, nor do we do it in the morning.
No.
Yeah, usually
bad
it's
for me.
afternoon. Bad for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay. We do it at 2. I usually don't hit the wall until about 4. So.
Yeah. We try to find the sweet spot.
The sweet spot.
The intersection of not just faith in everyday life, but
Ben and David's life.
Sweet spot and Ben's sweet spot.
Yeah.
We find
together,
that intersection right now.
Well, we are discovering it's not 9:44 on a Tuesday.
It's not. Yeah. It's not. But
You're here for it.
By the time this is all said and done,
yeah,
I'll have 9 shots of caffeine coursing through my veins.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I want to be shot out of a cannon. Even though it's 9:30, I'm not.
Okay, so someone made a comment this week during the first worship song about the difference between our coffee sizes. And they're like, do you guys do that on purpose? Or is Ben trying to lord himself over you?
Like compensating for my lack of
what is that? So it was funny. I've
heard that too.
It was legitimately
because you've got the rolling slides going, and I've got this Trenta, and you've got like a shot.
Yeah, I got my tall. Dude, a man only needs what he needs. I used to have a friend who couldn't pass up a deal. And so to save like 39 cents, he would get the extra large, whatever it is. Yeah. And he's like, dude, it's a better deal. It's saving 39 cents. I'm like, is it really saving money in the long run when you think about medical bills and the life that you're taking off? Well, you're like, is it really saving? So
yeah, no, that's a real thing.
That's an old shout out to an old friend.
That's a real thing. I need coffee.
Yeah.
I'd like just a straight IV, but in lieu of that, I'm on my second quad shot caramel macchiato, and I had a little homemade latte before I got here. So
good job, dude.
Yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to crush it.
Let's go. Let's do this.
If I wind up with the shakes, though, this could be a really,
I got you,
really interesting podcast.
I'll get you through it.
Hey, every week we call out at the end of the episode, like us, subscribe, review. We want you to do that. And I've said, if you give us a review, hey, might just make it on the podcast. So we got one from the Beasleys.
Ooh, the Beasleys.
The Beasleys is their best church, hands down.
Woo!
That's amazing. This is the best church. They open everyone with open arms. Come check it out.
Nice.
Short, sweet, but very complimentary. So to the Beasleys, we say,
Thank you. Thank you for your review. And we love you, Beasleys. I know exactly who they are. And I actually married them.
Oh.
Yeah.
So like a thruple? Or?
No, I didn't marry them.
Oh, you performed the ceremony.
I performed the ceremony that made them married.
Words matter.
I love them.
The Beasleys are the bee's knees.
Beasleys are the bee's knees.
That's what my grandmother probably would have said. But
I love it.
Yeah.
Dude, I love it.
Yeah. Well, man, we had a great Sunday. Not only did we have commentary on the size of our coffees, but we had a guest speaker, Robbie, and he was great.
Dude, he was awesome. I love Robbie. We got to figure out the technology to remotely have
Get
someone on the
him in.
podcast.
I know.
Yeah, he could have done it. He has like the mics and the equipment. We're just not set up for that yet. I didn't want to make him drive all the way up from Colorado Springs to be here for this.
You're a nice friend. I'd have been like, get
here,
down here, whatever it takes. I'll buy you a quad shot caramel macchiato. It'll be totally worth it.
Yeah. So we miss him, but we will have him on the podcast sometime, and I'm sure we'll have him back as a guest speaker, in the future.
Awesome. So man, I thought like normally we do the cutting room floor. We're going to do it. We're going to do the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
But I thought, in lieu of having Robbie here, I bet in your introduction, there were some things that hit the cutting room floor, some things you would like to tell us about Robbie, maybe how you guys met, what about your friendship, and then maybe we can get into some of that, how he's like kind of helped shape your view of the gospel. Like why did Robbie come to mind?
Yeah. Oh yeah, man, that's a good question. Here's the funniest story. So I met Robbie early on in my Christian faith. So I got, had my experience with God in my 20s and was trying to figure out, we had just moved to Northern Nevada to adopt our daughter, Julia. Oh. And so we found a church that was there. And the church we came from out of, Tara and I served in the youth group. And so we went to that youth group and asked the youth pastor, who was not Robbie, he was the associate youth pastor. And I go to the youth pastor and I introduce myself. Hey, David, served in the youth for a long time. Like, I'm a musician, I lead worship, like this, all these kinds of things. And I won't name the name. And he swears that he didn't say this. No, I'll name the name. His name's Jeff Neville. Ended up planting churches with him too. But he looks me dead in the eye and he goes, "We're all good."
Man.
And I was like, oh, it was a pretty large church.
Yeah,
they had stuff like going on.
Man.
It was like a 1,500 person church or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was just funny. They had some things going on. And so Jeff and Robbie are in the big service, and I got on the worship team and was leading one of the worship songs. And Jeff looks over at Robbie and he's like, "Why isn't he serving in our youth?" So I had to remind him of that. So Robbie reached out to me after that day, and we went and got coffee, and that's how we met. And I told him that story. He tells Jeff that that happened. Jeff says that never happened.
No,
but
I would never say such a thing.
Yeah,
except I did.
Yeah, it is. So I started serving on Robbie's team as a worship leader and a youth pastor. And I'm a couple years older than Robbie, but he was more mature in the faith. And in that time, man, he taught me just so much about how to read scripture, how to think about Jesus in the everyday stuff of life. He taught me the missional identity of the people of God, and not just like the attractional consumer identity, which is, we were kind of in a church that was that flavor in that time. And then he hands me a book, and it was like, it was like secret society stuff. Like in the world that we were in, he didn't want anyone to know that he was recommending. Yeah, it was like in a brown paper bag, and he handed me his book. And he's like, "Dude, I've been reading this book. Would you read it with me and go through it?" And it was Dallas Willard's Divine Conspiracy. And he's like, "Shh." But dude, Dallas Willard's a hero today, and a lot of evangelical church embraces him now. But back then, people were calling him a heretic.
It's funny.
Yeah, it is hilarious. And now he's like one of the foremost scholars on the New Testament. But it's just funny how the church is. But we read that book together. And as we were reading that book, man, we'd meet for coffee and have these conversations. And we started wanting more together of God, of the church. And so we started a ministry outside the church at a coffee shop, where we just started gathering young adults to just talk about Jesus, to worship, to pray, to drink coffee, to hang together. And this ministry started growing. It was off campus. It was out, not a part of associated with our church. And the senior pastor of the church caught wind of it, called Robbie and I into his office, and asked us to pull that ministry on campus. And we were like, hey, it's not going to work. the reason it's working is because of what we're doing, the environment we're doing, the fact like these people will never come to church. Yeah, they'll never come to church. And we're reaching them. And instead of him being excited about that, he looked us in the eye and he said, you either pull it back on campus or you're both fired.
Dang.
And we were like, wow, that's crazy. And so there's another pastor involved, Jeff, the one that told me he didn't need my help, was involved in that. We all decided to quit. So we all walked in and quit. And then a couple other pastors like quit during that same time. So there's a massive exodus. So in that time, we were decided what to do. Robbie and Stacy were moving to Texas, and they didn't know for what. Their just family was close. Stacy's family was out there. The stuff was cheap. We were like in Tahoe, things were expensive, like stuff was cheap there. And so Tara and I were just like, hey, we value this relationship so much. We don't want to lose it right now. So we moved to Texas with them.
Wow.
And then, we started hanging. We started a Bible study in his living room. And one day we were sitting out front and there was like 65, 75 people like showing up in his front room. We looked at each other and we're like, I think we just accidentally started a church. And so we did that. We ended up moving to brick and mortar. And that was almost 20 years ago. And that church still exists today. It's called Reach Rockwall in the south suburbs of Dallas. And, man,
that's crazy.
It was a beautiful experience. Yeah.
Yeah. I had no idea.
Yeah. It was our first church plant. That was what we did. And that's actually what gave me an appetite for church planting and started going into it. I actually did that before I went to seminary and any of that. So
you're not allowed to do that.
Yeah. We ended up, I ended up going to seminary after my second church plant, by the way, which was crazy. But yeah, Robbie was a huge part of that. So he's a good dude. And he taught me the value of friendship and community, and we've stayed connected ever since.
It's a really cool, story, and there's so many things in there, like how sometimes church leaders want to build their own kingdom and are more interested in that than building God's kingdom.
Yeah.
And I've worked in that tension too, and I've felt those things.
Yeah.
So that's not shade. That's just real.
It's reality. Yeah.
Yep. But then, man, how God just works in ways that are completely unexpected, and you're not prepared for, honestly.
Oh yeah.
You hadn't gone to seminary, all the boxes that should be checked.
Yeah. 5 years before that, I was a drug addict. Right. You know what I mean? So it's like, it wasn't like, it was just this, wow. It was a formative time.
Preparing for that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. But God just has this way of doing things. And, it's fascinating to me because I think you can have all the right ingredients in your own mind and God not work.
Yeah.
Or you can have none of the right ingredients.
And it works.
And it works. And it just shows you, the value of just being connected to the Holy Spirit and how the Holy Spirit just moves and does things.
Yeah.
Completely unexpected. Don't make any sense.
Yeah.
And
dude, it's amazing how much joy and excitement you have when you can detach yourself from outcomes.
Right.
Like when you don't have an end goal in mind, but you're just being faithful and obedient to the Lord and what He's called you to do, dude, life is so beautiful and joy-filled. But I think oftentimes what happens is our joy is robbed because we attach it to specific outcomes. And man, I learned in that season a lot about that. And I fell back into it, being outcome things. But I'm coming into a season right now, I think we've talked about it on here before, where I'm really trying hard to detach myself from outcomes.
Yeah.
And I'm finding myself more at peace, filled with more joy, less disappointment, and it's crazy. So,
well, and when you think about outcomes too, there is a joy that comes with being able to say, I had very little to do with that outcome. That God was the one who clearly did it.
Totally.
I cannot take credit. And you can just sit there and marvel at what God's done. And that's actually more, gratifying or at least, if nothing else, awe-inspiring than to sit there and stare at your own accomplishment.
Yeah.
Sure. So there's something sweet about that. Well, dude, give me like a little bit of like, if there's just a framework, a theology, something within the Christian life that maybe you went into relationship with Robbie one way, and through, secret meetings of Dallas Willard books, or starting churches in a living room, like over time that God used Robbie to reshape or reform in your journey.
Yeah, I think probably the best gift that Robbie gave to me in my Christian faith is to think critically for myself. And I think it's like sometimes we can get into mob mentality, and we just we take platitudes and let go and let God, and not really think about what does that actually mean? How does that play out? And is it tethered to something more than just a preacher or a church or an idea, a denomination, or a meme, or coffee mug or T-shirt, or is there some essence to that? And Robbie never, and this is the thing, and one guy said that a rabbi knows when his student is ready, not by the answers that he gives, but by the questions that he asks. And Robbie was so good at that. He did not give me answers to all of my questions, but he gave me questions that helped me to go on a journey with God to discover those answers for myself, and they became more real for me. And so he really reframed my understanding of discipleship and growth, which is oftentimes our Bible studies that we do are Western in that they just feed us information. And what we do is we never actually process that information. We just put information on top of information on top of information on top of information. And then we wonder why growth comes so slowly.
Right.
Growth is slow, but it doesn't have to be non-existent. And I think that's what we do, is we just stuff ourselves with more information. And so growth is almost non-existent. We're in proximity to spiritual things, but we're not experiencing a spiritual reality. And Robbie really taught me how to digest information and truth, as opposed to just, what's accumulated. So there's a difference between accumulation and digestion, and he was great, dude. He was great at that. He's very slow. He'd be so frustrating to me in my personality sometimes, because I'm a 7 on the Enneagram. Just tell me, tell me what to do. Tell me what to believe. Tell me what, that's like my personality. And he frustrated the mess out of me our first 2 years in relationship, because he wouldn't just tell me the right answer. He would make me press into it, and he would leave things lingering. And so, he was brilliant at that.
Well, yeah, it's the difference between, and man, the Western church is really guilty of this, I think. We like to tell you what to think instead of how to think.
Yeah.
Totally. And even as parents, that's, I keep trying to remind myself, I'm not teaching my kids what to think. I'm teaching them how to think.
Yeah.
And yes, through a gospel-centered, biblically founded lens, and, all those things. And so you lay a foundation for that, but it's not just like, this is this. It's like, well, if you did this, what would happen?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's, probably at least like a part of like what we're trying to do is like, hopefully, we're giving people questions to ask more than just like answers to regurgitate.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, how should we think about this? Or how should, how do we do this in real life? What are some of the things we should consider?
Yeah.
And so
there's a difference between law an ethic. And I think that's the point that Jesus was trying to make is the law can't do what you want it to do. Like the law can restrict your behavior, but it can't shape your heart, And so what Jesus wants to do is he wants to write the law in our heart, which is an ethic. I don't want you to just follow the rules. I want the ethic of the kingdom of God to govern the way you see the world and interact with it.
Yeah.
I want the things like the fruit of the Spirit, like love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, faithfulness, self-control. I want these things to ooze out of you so that no law is needed.
Right.
Like it wouldn't matter if there was a law there or not. It would happen because that's the difference between law and ethic. And the law is beautiful and good, but it's limited.
Yeah.
And that's what Jesus tried to come and see. And so much of the religious world, it identifies its health based on how much it obeys a law and not how much it embodies an ethic.
And isn't that supposed to be the distinctive of Christianity?
Yeah.
Versus religions
totally.
in general, it really is. It's the outside of the cup. Mm-hmm. It's like, how do I perform? How do I behave in such a way that I can achieve a certain level of whatever, greatness, a certain level of, centeredness or whatever the thing is. And it's like, if I do X, Y, and Z, I'll get my own planet. Yep. One day I'll be a god. I'll be in heaven. I'll pick the religion and the outcome.
Or I'll be emptied of all reality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is that's a weird one.
Yeah.
And
but it's all predicated on behavior.
Yeah. Totally.
And what's supposed to be the distinctive of Christianity is that you have this Jesus who says, I've done all that. Mm-hmm. All you need to do is believe that, receive that, and then allow me to work in and through you. Mm-hmm. And it's supposed to be the distinctive, and yet we still, all the time, fall back into that pattern of behavior, modification, performance, achievement, whatever the thing is. So it's
totally.
It's a really interesting thing that it's supposed to be what makes Christianity unique, and we don't always really live that out, do we?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, good. Thanks for giving us a little insight on not just Robbie, but just the relationship you guys have, and like I said, why Robbie? Why didn't you pick me? No, I'm kidding. Why Robbie when it comes to teaching on the gospel? And so I think this is a great time to have some fun.
Okay.
Just for funsies.
So, all right, I was thinking about this. Robbie, he had this really fun intro, and I think it was fun. I think it was also genius. We'll get to the genius part later, but for now, he talked about how he's not known for, I want to quote him because I don't want to misquote this, not known for demonstrating typically masculine traits. But he's got this one trait, wet shaving, which seems pretty masculine, actually.
Totally,
and so I thought we could talk about our typically masculine traits. So one, I'll just ask a broad question, and then we'll just I'm going to just not rapid fire necessarily, but 3 buckets of masculine traits that we can kind of see, where we're at with that. So one, would you say you're known for typically masculine traits? Man,
no.
You sound pretty adamant.
Yeah. So I might have told you this before, but I had a nickname in the church world growing up. And so I was a part of a dual pastor model church, know. And the guy that I co-pastored with, he was like the father figure, and I was known as mom stock. So
I did not know that one. That's incredible.
This is vulnerability at its highest.
I'm gonna remember it, but also be kind.
Be kind.
That's like
be
remember
kind.
it, but be kind.
And it's like, and what's funny is like I do, like I'm an adventurer. Like I love adventure. I did extreme sports. I'm extreme snowboarder, like skateboarding growing up. And, you know, I've kind of aged out of like that whole world and stuff. So dude, I did boy stuff and guy stuff, you know, like that. But I don't like, dude, I grew up in a small southern California beach town, you know? So it was like, dude, I rode my longboard and boogie board at the beach, and you know, like I didn't hunt or fish or hike or you know what I mean. Like that just wasn't my world. So I don't have like so when I'm in Colorado, I don't feel like I have some of those man traits that like you know I've never shot anything. You know, like it's like.
Right.
You know, like I just like it's just not.
There's some good in that, but
totally. I'm not that guy, and so I more on the intellectual side. I'm thoughtful. I think I like to read. I like to take long walks on the beach. You know,
that's great.
Yeah.
No, because my response would be kind of similar. Like sometimes, like I think one, it was kind of like some of these masculine traits were kind of beat into me, but they were more not on the like hunt and fish. We did fish, but not hunt. But same thing. I grew up in LA, beach, sports, like super into sports, all that stuff. But not some of these other things. But what was really kind of like the feeling component of it. And I've touched on this before, but like really like, you know, you cry and it's like, I'll give you a reason to cry. And so you don't cry. So I like can't do it.
Yeah.
Like it takes something really remarkable for me to cry. And it's not that I don't like, I feel the stuff.
Yeah.
But I just like my tear ducts were shut off at a young age.
Yeah. You're just not a feeler. Like that's all good.
Yeah. But it actually made it hard for me to do some of the things I do. Like, you know, because singing, I could visually go, oh, there's a lot of like, there are men who sing and they're really like Frank Sinatra, like huge names, like, you know, and you wouldn't call them, you know, effeminate or whatever.
Yeah.
And, but I still had tension around it for the longest time. And then finally, you know, I was just like, I don't care because I love it too much to not do it. And so yeah, it's kind of like
funny.
In some ways, yes, but some
I was
ways,
having this
no.
conversation the other day. Dude, I think Brandon Lake was so good for worship.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of like, you know, not effeminate, not like skinny jean, like that type of guy. He's like, you know,
man.
Like, yeah, he's a man. He hangs out with Jelly Roll. Like, come on.
Yeah, how do you beat that? All right, so quick hits, just some things. We know, we've acknowledged we're not like
not
the prototypical.
Not overly prototypical, man.
But all right, so just 3 categories. I'll give you all of them and then we'll talk through each just so it gives you a second. Hands, heart, and habits. So I'll give you the category and you just kind of share one, you know, masculine move, if you would, in that category. So I'll start, so it gives you just a second.
Yeah.
So hands, so like building or fixing something. This is not a strength of mine. I cannot fix a car. I don't know anything about cars. And I don't know anything about this either, but I have successfully fixed multiple appliances in my home. The only help I've received is YouTube and most recently ChatGPT. So I had to replace a part in my dishwasher like 2 weeks ago. Super frustrated. I know that there are guys who could do this in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, it took me like 4 days. But yeah, so that would be like, this is not a thing I'm great at, but I've learned to fix some things, which is cool. And save some money.
I'm handy in that, like, I'm not scared of it. I can do stuff. Like, I can build stuff. I've worked in, as a church planter. I
thought you were going to say IKEA.
I've always had to have side gigs. I put together a lot of IKEA furniture.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
Yeah. I worked for a company called TaskRabbit where I would have to go and do like handyman type of stuff. But for whatever reason, most of it was IKEA furniture. But yeah, dude, I built stuff. My dad was a man's man. Oh, so he was like a glazer, who had like worked with glass.
Okay, I was gonna say, I think that means something different today. Yeah. Okay.
And so he would run these like big commercial projects. He did like Disney corporate offices, the company I worked for and stuff. And so, and the end of his life, he became a finish carpenter. And so he so that was always like a part of his thing. He didn't talk to me ever, but that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
I got that too. My dad wasn't a man's man, so there's not even a correlation there. All right, heart. So maybe like, I think it is an incredibly masculine, manly thing to have hard conversations. Sometimes that's hard because you have to apologize. Sometimes it's hard for a number of reasons. So what I came up with was, not all that long ago, I had to apologize to a handful of people because I came across as if I had all the answers when I knew I didn't.
Yeah.
I just didn't like their answers.
Gotcha.
And so I needed to I'm trying to overcompensate for in what was in my mind bad answers.
Yeah.
By, trying to be very strong in terms of and man, it took the other Mosaic. I was listening to a podcast from those guys and the big one, and they actually were talking about outcomes and how just like releasing outcomes changes the conversation. And it just like opened my eyes to how tightly I was like holding on to outcomes. Yeah. And so I had to apologize to a bunch of people, and it wasn't fun for me. Yeah. Because when is apologizing fun, Yeah. And so yeah, that would be mine.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah. Heart, I would, I think, so me and my son do a devotional. It's called the Primal Path. And so we're on this thing.
Sounds manly.
Yeah, it sounds super manly. And it's awesome. Like you get patches and stuff when you go to different things. But one of the first things or rules of like manhood is taking responsibility for yourself. And, I think that's something that I am excited to help my son go through, and it's something that I had to learn a little bit later in life, know. And so a lot of my rebellious stage was just me trying to escape responsibility for life, and so
blame shifting.
And I think it's something I'm good at now. Like I take responsibility for myself.
I thought you were good blame shifting. No, I was like, that's
no. Like, it's like legitimately, like I feel like, I think we have a role to play in life and success and flourishing and all of that, and learning how to take responsibility yourself. But it's a heart posture. Yeah. And we have we live in a culture right now that is, as it's becoming more aware of the injustices that exist, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's creating a victim mentality in people, which I think is a bad thing. Yeah. And so I'm like wrestling through like these types of things of how do I have a conversation without giving men in particularly a victim identity instead of a responsibility identity.
Yeah. No, that's good. One of the things my kids have heard it probably 100 times each is that real men take responsibility for their actions. And so you do something and you start going, well, Adam, like, the woman you gave me. I'm like, no. That's not what we do.
Yeah.
You take responsibility. But no. And I always just try to bring him back to like, just take responsibility.
Yeah.
It goes so much better. You're so much more respected for doing that. And it's just the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And so that's a really good one. Last one, habits, like wet shaving, perhaps. I don't wet shave. I don't particularly like shaving much at all. I'm going to imagine you don't either. But
wait, what are you talking about?
Okay,
dude? I shave every day,
shave
bro.
The other side. Okay,
dude, this is much harder to shave than this.
You probably shave way more than I do. Then
I shave more than Robbie does. That dude can't grow hair. Lon is, dude. Yeah.
So what
it was funny to hear him talk about that. 'Cause I'm like,
monthly?
Dude, you have to wet shave like once a quarter, bro. Come on.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I think mine's related to sports. Like one, I love sports and I go really hard
I've seen you.
Yeah, I know.
I've seen you almost break your neck for flag football.
That was Andy Perlman who almost broke my neck, and I know he listens. So, yeah, and so, but what I would say about it is, this is the masculine part about it, is I have a really high pain tolerance. Yeah. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, that play in particular.
Yeah, I would have been out. I would have been done.
I should have
for the week.
My neck's still not right today. Like, I'm just like, that's real.
Yeah.
But I just keep playing.
Yeah.
You know, I like separated
I didn't
my
know
shoulder.
that humans could bend that way until I saw you right before my eyes.
I know. No, I like separated my shoulder, tore a ligament in my shoulder playing softball. It was a double header, and if I didn't keep playing, they'd be a man down. So I hit one-handed, and I played first base because I couldn't throw; I could only catch.
Yeah.
And like, I don't. Basically, what I say is, I'm too stupid to feel pain. Like, I don't know what it is. Like,
Dude, that's a manly trait. I feel
so
like that's a totally manly trait.
I can
dude.
grit through just about anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not really a habit, but it's related to my sports habit.
I love the memes that are going around that show the wives giving birth to babies, and it says on there, it says like POV, point of view. It's like, now my wife knows how it feels when I'm sick. Or when I have a cold, or whatever that is. Like,
my wife will attest I'm not that guy, but that is a very real stereotype.
It's funny,
I think for a reason. So
I think
that's
for a
funny
reason too. Yeah, man, that's a good one. So this is habits. You know, I don't know what manly habits I have. You know, I brew my coffee by hand every morning.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean. Like, I grind the beans and brew it by hand. It's like a little ritual that I have, and it's
I've
just
seen
that
it.
time.
You even like you kind of pour in a circle.
Yeah, you have to let it. A degas and all kinds of stuff. And so
I degas too.
And what's funny is, as Robbie was talking about the slowing down of his wet shaving, like that's immediately what came to mind. I was like, dude, this every morning, it slows me down, and I'm focused on this one task that I think is really good to start a rhythm out. I wouldn't call it manly, but that's my thing.
Coffee's. I feel like coffee's manly.
Yeah.
It's good.
I don't mow my own lawn, pay someone to do it. I don't.
You quit while you're ahead, bro. I'm just kidding. I did that for a long time.
I don't have a lot of manly habits.
I did that for a long time too. Yeah. So,
dude, I built 2 decks out in my backyard. Totally. But that's not a habit.
That was pretty. Yeah. It's not a habit, but it is manly.
Yeah.
No, okay, this is good. Let's get back into the message, and with that, the idea of habits. So I said. You know, I thought the opening wasn't just funny, but it was pretty genius, actually. You know, he had this great combination of like shared a little bit. We get to see a little bit of his humor. Mm-hmm. We get to, see just, a habit of his. We get to connect it to who he is, and like this whole idea of how he wanted to be like his grandfather because his grandfather was like Jesus. And then how daily practices shape who we're becoming. And, he said, what we do every day matters more than what we do once in a while.
Yeah, that's a great line.
And so I was just thinking, I was like, okay, you have a granddaughter, or let's say a future grandson, if we're going to stick with the manly component of it, like, and they were to ask you as they're older, like, what did you do every day to become the man that you are? Like, what would you say? Like, what are those habits or a habit?
Yeah, I mean, I hate giving this answer.
Is it going to be the obvious church answer?
Yeah, it's the total obvious church answer. But man, every day I start my day with God. It's just it's been like that for 20 years, and that takes different shapes and forms throughout life and in different seasons. But yeah, I always try to wake up into God's world instead of trying to bring God into my world, and whatever's going on. And so it's just been, I think it's something that just reorients us to the way things that really are. I'm a big, huge fan of seeing God as creator and us as creatures. And I think there's something that does to us that opens us up to the possibilities of a day when we started recognizing our right and proper place in the world. And I think oftentimes we miss the opportunities and possibilities of our day because we start in the wrong place.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, I'm more of an evening guy. Well, late night guy.
Yeah.
So I don't really wake up that way. And this isn't, what I would say is it's not so much a daily habit, but it is a regular habit that has helped me is the prayer of examine, and we've talked about that. And what it helps me do is it actually helps me reconnect to my feelings, because it's not a strength of mine.
Yeah.
So questions like, what happened today that hurt me? It requires me to tear down some walls and be vulnerable before God.
Yeah.
And so I think that, because I grew up in an environment that was very I didn't feel a lot of freedom to do that.
Yeah.
It's been really freeing for me. And it's been pretty game changing.
Dude,
just simple question.
That's so huge. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Keep it moving. We're gonna keep moving here. So he said you got to preach the gospel to yourself, and I've heard that said before, but I've not really given it a lot of thought, to be honest. What are the implications of that? What does it mean? And I feel like in life, I tend to incorporate parts of the gospel regularly. He talked about when we preach the gospel to ourselves, it gives us empathy for the person who hurts us or, who we're in conflict with because we recognize their brokenness, things like that. And I would just go, well, I need to lead with empathy. But it feels like, as I've evaluated, I'm stopping short of really preaching the gospel to myself every day. That seems like a more powerful, empathy could be placed in the self-help category.
Yeah.
Right? As opposed to preaching the gospel every day. And so I guess the question I have on this is how does one preach the gospel to themselves? And what would that look like just practically speaking?
Yeah. Yeah, and gospel's a big church word, and it simply means good news. And so you have to ask yourself, what is the good news? And we know that the good news is about what God has done for us in Jesus Christ. And if I had to boil it down to one word, I would use the word grace. Yeah. And I believe, and I think the big thing that Robbie, two things that Robbie got at was, one is that the gospel is not something we graduate from, or it's not a doorway that we enter through, but it's the life we live on. And even more fully, if I was to, Robert Mulholland would and Ruth Haley Barton and some of these spiritual formation people would say that grace is the environment that transformation happens. So we think change happens through some sort of specific effort or discipline or, working towards something, which I'm not, dude, we have to work. We have to take responsibility. There's things we have to do, but the things we do are more keeping us swimming in God's grace. So how do we keep ourselves in an environment of God's grace? And Robbie's thing is that everything that God did for us through Jesus Christ was motivated by a radical, and we've been saying it, what I love the line, reckless love. God loves us because he loves us, because he loves us, and he loves us in everything that he does. And so we have to do that. And I have a little quote here by Ruth Haley Barton that says this. It says, grace means I do not have to fix myself, but I am invited to open to God's transforming presence and let grace do its work. And so when we're preaching the gospel to ourselves, we first and foremost have to be reminded that we're saved by grace.
Yeah.
We're saved by grace through faith in Jesus, but we're saved by grace. Grace is the power. And there is a guy named Andrew Peterson. He's a worship leader, songwriter.
Is he worthy?
What's that? Yeah.
Is he worthy?
Yeah, that's the song. But he has a song called "Be Kind to Yourself," and it sounds a little like hippie, new agey, like that. But when you listen to the words, what he's talking about is like learning how to swim in the river of God's grace. Like we have to learn how to place ourselves there. And so when we preach the gospel to ourselves every day, again, we have to wake up into a world that says, I don't have to prove myself to God or anyone else, that my dignity and worth doesn't come by my achievements, that all the things that I feel guilty for can be cleansed through the work of another man, Jesus. Like these are the things that need to take place for us to preach the gospel to ourselves. It's not like just Baptist, like Jesus died for your sins. You know what I mean? It's like, Romans road every day, like thing. But it's like, it's being reminded. And so here's what I say. Grace is three things. Grace is God's unconditional love meeting us where we are. Period.
Yeah.
God meets us where we are. We don't have to ascend the hill. We don't have to climb the mountain. We don't have to achieve
earn
it. Yeah. He meets us where we are. Grace is God's power to do in us what we cannot do in ourselves. So we have to get to this point where if we want to change, we have to open ourselves up to the change agent, which isn't David.
Right.
It's God. It's the Holy Spirit. It's the good news about Jesus. Like it's something outside of ourselves to change us. And then 3, grace is the environment where formation happens over time. So you have to be patient. Like as we swim more and more in grace and receiving grace, that's how we preach the gospel to ourselves.
That's good. Yeah. That's good. You know, I had this, like, I just kind of went through, you know, because he was walking us through Titus 3. And I just made some, like, because I like to make things bite-sized. You do too, actually. So, like, from Titus 3, I got this order that we're loved, made new, adopted, and then there's overflowing. So, like, we're loved by God's kindness, you know. We're made new, like, renewal by the Spirit.
Yeah.
We're adopted, we become heirs, and then we're overflowing, we're devoted to good works, right? It's an overflow of this, I am loved, I am made new, I am adopted, and out of that comes this devotion to doing good. And I think what we often do is we reverse the order, right? We do good works so that we might become heirs, and then maybe renewal will happen and we become the kind of person that God can love.
That's tragic.
And so, you know, I think about, as you just explained grace and just the power of grace in our everyday life, it frees us from that reverse order of achievement, trying to earn God's favor, trying to earn his love, trying to become something lovable, something worthy, something acceptable, something pleasing to God. And it's like, no, it's by his grace that we're saved. It's by his grace that we're made new and that we're adopted, and that now from a position of love and adoption and newness, we're then able to do good works. And so, like I said, I mean, it's just easy to, it's easy to reverse that order. I think it's something like hardwired into us through sin.
Totally.
Just our brokenness. And then, you know, too, it's just like, I think we have embraced components of, at least I have, components of the gospel, you know, preaching it to myself every day. But maybe more holistically looking at that each day would be a good rhythm for us to adopt.
Yeah. And dude, that's a part of, like, grace is not just pardon from sin, but it's power for kingdom life. And that's the big thing that we need to get over. Like, grace doesn't mean that like it's like, oh, Ben's fine. Yeah. You know, like no, grace is God's power at work to transform you into who you were meant to be, you know, like, and opening ourselves up to God, and that can be painful. Like you even talked about a humbling experience of having to like open yourself up to like where you were missing the mark and allow God in to come and lead you in that. And he gave you specific things to do to like redeem that, you know? And that's what grace looks like in action. It's not just like, oh, it's okay, Ben's a sinner, you do that. Yeah, it's all right. It's like, no, it's the power to change. Like it's, Yeah, my kids love to say, well, you know, nobody's perfect, Dad. Yeah.
I'm like,
I know.
Yeah, I do know that. And that's why there's grace, but there's also like the opportunity to like look at the imperfection.
Yeah.
And just give it to God and ask him to make you new. Like, you know, and it's like we talked about this a few weeks ago. I think, you know, you asked the question like, how do we do this? You know, when I was preaching on David, how do we do this, live this kind of life? And it's like, we can't.
Yeah.
It's by the power of the Spirit. Like, we can't in and of ourselves live this full, beautiful, wonderful, flourishing life that Jesus offers. It's only by him.
It's only by him. Yeah, and I even wrote down some verses here thinking about this. Ephesians 2, 8 and 10, for it's by grace you have been saved through faith. And this is not from yourself, it is the gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast. For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works. So the right order, right? That's what you just said. What comes first?
Right.
Titus 2. For the grace of God has appeared that offers salvation to all people. It teaches us. What teaches us? Grace does. It teaches us to say no to ungodliness and worldly passions and to live self-controlled, upright, and godly lives. Grace does that. Philippians 1:6, being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ. And so just what you said, it's not of us. It doesn't come from us. It comes from outside of us.
Well, we look at the fruit because that's what we can inspect.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, you know, you look at a tree and I can tell you if the fruit is good or not. But what I can't tell you is like the source of its nourishment. Is that good?
Totally.
I don't know like what kind of nutrients it's receiving. I don't know, like, I don't understand the composition of the soil. I don't, like,
There's
that
an app
stuff's
for
over
that.
my head. There is. You take a picture, I know.
If only spiritual growth was that easy.
Man, think of what we could monetize the heck out of that sucker. Yeah. But no, so I think we just gravitate towards fruit because it's what we can see. It's what we can grab a hold of. And it's not just what we can see in others, it's what we can see in ourselves.
Yeah.
You know? And so, to just be focused not on the what, but the who is supplying us as we are devoted to these good works. We just think of, you know, those words, self-control and, you know, joy and like, do I have these things? No, well, I got to get more of it.
Yeah. Nope.
It's like we got to go to the source.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
Man, I think it's time for a low-key obsession.
Oh.
Let him cook. It's time for David's low-key obsession.
Dude, I have a renewed energy around our vision for a Jesus-centered life.
Yeah.
And so our mission statement is we exist to help people experience a Jesus-centered life, but we have a vision that like kind of is like, what is a Jesus-centered life? And just, dude, recently it's come up in conversations and I've been like super energized by it. It people have responded to it in like really cool ways of like, oh, that makes sense. Like, is that? And so if you don't know, our vision for the Jesus-centered life is that we want to help people know Jesus. And we define that K-N-O-W to know,
not N-O.
Not N-O.
That'd be bad.
That would be bad. To know Jesus. We define it as a level of relational intimacy with him, not just information about him. Yeah. And so we really want people to be connected, you know, and this comes from Jesus' own words. It says, remain in me and I will remain in you. I am the vine, you are the branches, and whoever, apart from me, you can do nothing, is what he says. So we want people to really have an intimate connection to the Father through Jesus Christ, like knowing Jesus. 2 is find freedom. So we really believe that God doesn't want to just save us from the guilt of sin, but he wants to release us from the grip that sin has over our lives. And everything we do here, we want to partner with people in their journey of the big fancy church word, just sanctification, which simply means growing more like Jesus. Right. Every day. Like we just want people every day, we can grow a little bit more like Jesus in how we see the world, how we see ourselves, how we treat one another, how we connect with the Father, just grow more in the likeness of Jesus. 3 is discover meaning. We believe every sphere of the material world has deep meaning.
Yeah.
Our work, our relationships, our hobbies, our money, our calendars, our likes and dislikes, like our wiring, the way our makeup, things like that. We want to help people discover that meaning, and then we want to make the world beautiful. So we want to help people join God in making the world beautiful. And I really do believe that, beauty has more value than people give credit for. And so things that are beautiful are can't be monetized. We just joked about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just exists. One of my favorite lines is
cheapens it.
Yeah, it cheapens it. Is the secret life of Walter Mitty. There's this ghost cat that he's chasing around, and which is my favorite movie, by the way. If you haven't seen it, go see it. I watch it every year. But there's a statement where he says, beautiful things don't ask for attention. Like things that are beautiful don't ask for attention.
You're just drawn to it.
Yeah, you're just drawn to it. That's just it. It's like a flower or sunset or a thing. Like it's not asking you for attention. It doesn't care whether you look at it or not. It just exists. And I think that's what the kingdom of heaven is like. It's beauty that isn't like trying to get your attention. It just is. And so, so that's my low-key obsession right now.
Love it. Yeah. I'm excited for just all that means and how it's going to unfold here and coming weeks, months, years, all of it. That's great. All right, last thing, IRL, as we put a bow on the podcast. How do we do this in real life?
Yeah. Hashtag IRL. And if you don't know what that means, you must be old. I have a few questions that you can ask, and I'd love to hear your thoughts too on this. And then I have some practical invitations, and I'm a pastor, so they all begin with the letter S.
Good job.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to pat myself on the back for that. I can't resist, dude. I'm sorry. I know it is so cheesy, but I can't.
I love
resist
the alliteration.
Yeah.
I can't help it.
Yeah. I see. All right. Here's a question. Are you trying to transform yourself through effort or control?
Ooh.
Just straight off the bat, like reflect on that question and what areas does that look like? And are you the second one is, are you impatient with your own growth or other people's growth?
Double yes.
Yeah. Because here's what that question does. It really shows you whether you understand and have received grace for yourself or not. It keeps us in this grace kind of world. And the third question is, do you believe that God's grace is enough, not just to forgive you, but to change you? So these are some questions to do. And then you just start like, man, what would it look like for you to live today fully aware that you are already loved, already invited, already being transformed, not by your effort, but by God's gracious activity in your life already. Like God's already at work.
I think that's a nice distinction too, because by God's gracious activity in your life, you could just stop it by God's grace. But I think like sometimes we need to like play that out a little bit more in our heads. And so just that little phrase gives us this picture of like, oh yeah, grace, that's right. It's God doing the activity. It's not me. And it just gives you a picture of that. So I think that's a great question.
Yeah. So those are reflection questions. And then the practical invitations are surrender, stillness, and service. So surrender is, God, I can't fix myself. but I know you can fix me. So opening ourselves up to God in those areas, just surrender.
Yeah.
Like stop trying, stop pretending, stop managing your image, stop, all the things that go along, just surrender to him and let him in. He loves you. It's so funny because it's like your brokenness is God's more deeply aware of how broken you are more than you are.
Right.
Like you don't even know how really broken you are. Yeah, we try to hide it from it. Just surrender yourself. And it doesn't matter if it's like, man, I'm angry at my kids and I keep yelling at my kids. Or I'm like, man, I'm not satisfied at work. Or I keep messing up that relationship because of my stupid mouth or whatever. You know what I mean? Like just surrender it to him. Like I'm going through the Pause app right now, and it starts off with this phrase, God, today I give you everyone and everything. And just repeat that, God, today I give you everyone and everything. God, today I give you everyone and everything. And it just slows your world down and just saying.
So P-A-U-S.
Yeah, pause.
Not P-A-W.
No, P-A-U-S-E.
That's a pet app, I'm sure.
Sit down, pause. Yeah, but the other one is stillness. Create space for grace through silence, prayer, and scripture.
That one's hard, man. The silence part.
The silence part. That's what this Pause app is helping me do.
Okay.
Like there's sections in it that you have to just be quiet.
It's basically the wet shaving app.
Yeah. It is the wet
slows
shaving.
You down.
It slows you down.
Yeah.
And do that. And then service. Grace overflows. And man, we, big part of our thing we're going to talk about this weekend is we're formed for the sake of others. And grace is a symbiotic thing. And so it gives to us so we can give it away, but also when we give it away, it gives back to us. And so learning how to extend grace and serve others graciously, dude, it's huge.
Well, it's funny because the world has figured this out too. In this sense, if I'm kind to others, I receive kindness back.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. It's this whole reciprocating thing. And so if I live my life in such a way where I'm good to people, people will be good to me.
Yeah.
The world has figured this out. But when you apply it to grace, it adds a God factor that you can't quantify.
Yeah. Dude, I have never been let down by extending someone grace.
Right.
Ever. And it doesn't matter who they are.
But I've definitely
what belief they hold, what lifestyle they have, what situation they're in. It has never let me down.
Nope.
Ever.
But I have definitely been let down by when I condemn someone. I have royally messed up relationships, conversations, pastoral moments, you name it. When I take this holier than thou approach to life and condemn your sin, and I don't need to do that. God does that. The scriptures do that. He's writing the law on our hearts. We feel that. And so to extend grace is a beautiful God, not only honoring thing, but God demonstrated thing. We're practicing the way of Jesus.
Yeah.
And so that's good. It's good. Well, Ann, I think that's a podcast.
That's a podcast. That's a wrap. Next week, we're going to be talking about community.
Yeah, and it's kickoff Sunday.
It's kickoff Sunday, so you
wear your Raiders jerseys, everyone.
No, do not wear Raiders jerseys, but you can wear your favorite sporting teams.
And if that happens to be the Raiders,
you are welcome.
And Rodney,
you are welcome here. You are welcome here.
Yes. Sure. That's really my role in the church. Is everyone's welcome. See, even me, even me, this Raider fan. Yeah. So we'll catch you next week. Please do. Be like the Beasleys.
Yeah.
Leave a review.
Review.
Subscribe, all that good stuff.
Share with your friends.
With the world, what God's doing in this podcast and in Mosaic.
Yeah.
Love you guys. Catch you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Centered. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with a friend. You can listen to Centered on your favorite podcast platform or watch on YouTube. To learn more about Mosaic or connect further, visit us online at welcometomosaic.com. See you next week.